Hey, welcome back. My name is Laura. I'm going to do a general message for Virgo. Know that energy is fluid. Roles could be just interpret the message as it best resonates with you. I know that you guys know this, but always take what you need and leave the rest, especially on this channel, because I like to go deep. We don't just look at what goes on the surface. We like to look at the shadows, the spiritual blocks, see how they play out as karmic themes so that you have an opportunity to heal. Okay, now if you're new to my channel, anything of any importance or relevance you can find in the description box. That is about the channel or my subscriptions or important links and whatever giveaways and always directions on how to enter into winning a free reading with me, which is all you need to do is like the video, subscribe to the channel, and write the word of the video in your comment bar. Hey, whoever's out there. Want to thank everybody, by the way, for giving me comments. Hello, Sunflower Goddess. I'm so happy that you joined me today. Let's see what card we got for you. No one's on, so I always feel like, on spiritual channels, you're a magnet of who and what is supposed to come into your life, especially for shadow reading cards. I mean, we like to look at what goes on the surface, but if we want to see why certain things are not working out in our life, we definitely want to do shadow readings because there's many different realities that play out at one time. Your level of consciousness will determine how things play out. So when we don't like an experience, because maybe a person's difficult, maybe we are connected to someone that's difficult, we feel like we're never on the same page. So again, being connected to someone that makes us feel that way begins to make us think a certain way. And then we form behaviorisms and habits that are in alignment with that core belief. And ironically, that core belief is something that has always been inside of you. It's usually an inner child wound, something that you, again, an experience that you grew up in, and now you're in another experience that triggered that wound. Let's see what it is, Sunflower. Well, look at this. When I don't believe in mistakes. Again, spiritual channel. So this card I always keep in the deck. And the reason why is because I should have made a card for chameleon. And a chameleon is anyone that can mold to other people, right? So a person can go into any environment and fit into that environment. And sometimes that's a good thing and sometimes that's a bad thing. It's a very paradoxical energy. And paradoxical well, if a person can do that to the extent, it means that they don't have an identity. Now, this doesn't mean that it's you, Sunflower Goddess, but it could mean that, again, you're connected to someone that kind of has that energy, someone that doesn't really know who they are. Now, can they mold to anything? Yeah, but it means that their emotions are really what's leading them and not really, there's no ground to it. So, like I said, I never see any mistakes in anything. Again, nothing's by accident. Now, this is, again, just going to be the underlining energy that is driving your reading. So what the underlining energy could be, why a person is doing what they're doing. So if you're looking at a person that you're connected to, maybe I don't understand why they do what they do. They do what they do because they don't know who they are. And so again, that chameleon card. But let's just look at the hidden truths and to really see, and then we'll go into the reading. Again, whatever intuitively Spirit wants me to call, sometimes their inner, we'll always pull for your inner child wounds because you want to know why you're attracting a person like this. Again, especially if they have behaviorisms that are triggering you, especially if they do things that trigger you. Because once you integrate spiritual lesson, they can't trigger you anymore. And that usually can break a karmic contract. It can break a relationship, or it will swap energies where if you felt like you were disempowered at one time, now the other person feels disempowered. And it's because you're changing the dynamic of the energy. Okay. I love you. So you'd be like, okay, the person doesn't act like they love. Listen, even a chameleon has feelings. If a person doesn't know who they are, they're not going to be strong enough to act on it. They're not going to be strong enough to express themselves. If anything, what I'm kind of feeling is that this person may even emotionally try to manipulate you to get you to react so that they could read your emotions. And it's again, it's a behaviorism when a person's not emotionally intelligent. It doesn't mean that they don't love, it means that they're afraid to love. There's a difference. I am becoming a better person. Well, love does that. It makes us do things that we wouldn't want to do. Makes us forgive. Sometimes we're like, okay, that person does not deserve forgiveness. They were an asshole. They hurt me. They know what they do. They deliberately do it. But for whatever reason, we wind up going back to a place of, well, I'm going to give them another chance. Despite that I see the dumpster fire and the red flags. But there doesn't need to be that you inherit that karma. Remember, there's many realities that play in at one time. Your level of consciousness will determine on what happens. It was my fault, but I blamed you. And that's what I was talking about, the emotional manipulation. So you might have felt like you tried to have a conversation with this person and they acted like they weren't even listening. Again, not emotionally intelligent. I don't want to make you feel. Yeah, see, that's what you've been dealing with. See, again, no mistakes, Sunflower Goddess. No mistakes. When the student is ready, the teacher appears. That's how the universe works. So it's understand that there's love here, but it's like, again, it doesn't look like that. And it's triggering to me. And then it's, why do I have to why can't I get a normal one? It's almost like that's when you're like, I always get a broken one. And the reason why is that spirit is going to say, well, look at your inner child wants to see what you need to integrate. Once you reparent yourself, then again, there's no more inner child wound. You've healed that. And then, like I said, the person loves you, well, guess what? They're going to wind up being on the other side. Like I see the Wheel of Fortune, and the Wheel of Fortune, right, is that what goes around comes around. So you will actually be in a place where you're like, well, doesn't somebody have mud on their face? It's because again, the ego is what is fear, and that's what we see here. I blamed you, even though it was my fault. I know what I'm doing. Just as long as I keep you hooked, you won't go anywhere because I know that you love me. So it's a way of emotionally manipulating, just a sign of immaturity. Finding out the truth crushed me. And what probably is that you're like, I'm not even affected by it anymore. I'm not even affected by it anymore. And so again, what person power when the ego is it needs that emotional reaction. It needs to create the drama. And when you don't have that drama, it's then the person feels that you don't really like them. Because again, they have to create that in order to feel loved. Part of it is because they might have grown up in that type of environment, and part of it is just because they don't want to be vulnerable. They don't want to give 100%. So let's see. I'm afraid to contact you. So, person, if you're in separation from them, it's because they know what they've done. So it's they first of all they're afraid because they know what that they did, but that's also their ego, which doesn't really want to take responsibility, that doesn't really want to heal. But unconditional love makes a person surrender their ego. So remember that. So let's look and see what they're going to do. Because the irony with shadows is that a person can feel a certain way and do a certain thing, and then act completely different. Because remember, that person isn't coming from their true self. They're coming from their emotions. They're letting their emotions, they don't think that they are. But the subconscious, just because we suppress certain emotions doesn't mean that we're not being led by them subconsciously. And that's what I was trying to say. So even though we see this behavior, it doesn't necessarily mean the person isn't going to do anything. The divine has a way of making people move. It's just, again, because that's what it's all about. It's all about getting back to a place of unconditional love. When we're talking about shadows, that's what we're talking about. Anywhere where we have detached from love, and then the behavior is I'm afraid to be vulnerable, I'm afraid to be loved, but I want love and I feel the connection. But it's like almost like I don't know what to do with it. It's overstimulated. It makes me feel about my own emotions, and I haven't dealt with those. So again, it will trigger you because of the things that you need healing in, but not necessarily. I have two decks together because I ran out of bags, so I combined, which isn't exactly the smartest thing to do because then they get all crazy. So just bear with. Um, but that's really what it is. It's like that person has feelings, but they almost like don't know what to do, and because they were never shown. They, if, especially if they grew up in a home where love wasn't expressed like openly. It didn't mean not that parents didn't love, but everybody loves differently. The whole point is that we learn God's love, universal love, which is unconditional love. It's like I love you regardless of everything that I'm seeing. And so you'll be like, why am I dealing with this? Probably need to forgive. That's usually one of the reasons. All right, let's see. What are underneath the bridge? They're hoping that when they're eventually going to come to you, is what I feel, and thinking that, well, you'll think that it's water underneath the bridge. It's almost like they know that you're a better person than them. I know that that sounds crazy because this person likes to elevate themselves to make themselves feel better, but down deep inside they know that you're a better person. And really, that's what manipulates a person to become a better person, because unconditional love, again, makes us do those things. I wish I could fix things between us. And it's again, now that you see how they're trying to like change. So this is what happens when a person has shadows. They have shame. And so it's like, I don't think that I'm going to be forgiven. I don't think that I'm going to be able to, but it doesn't mean that they don't. This is a thought. Remember, this person is led by their emotions, not it's not truth. Emotionally unavailable, and that's what I'm saying. This person is trying to work through all the different feelings that they have, which makes them not emotionally available for you. And it's like I also feel like there are other things going on in this person's life that are really not working because they're only trying to come from that logical, analytical mind. Remember, when spirit brings somebody into our life that makes us change, that makes us heal, it heals other areas of our life, not just one area. But unfortunately, things have got to get worse before they get better, because I feel like this person has lived out of alignment from their ego for a long time, which means that they do what they want when they want, and that's a problem. So again, that's why they're dealing with the healing. Again, twin flame journey. Again, learning about unconditional love. Again, this is what this is. A person who was emotionally not available, just like playing a lot of games, wanting to have you hooked. And like, but we see all the different emotions, we see all the different feelings. And that's why I'm saying a person's going to be led by passion, they're going to be led by their anger, they're going to be led by, so this is why it's really important that if you have shadows, that you need to heal those shadows, you need to integrate the spiritual lesson, because this person's not balanced. All right, let's just see what the triggers are, just because we need to. Okay, that just came like flying out. Okay, disturbed. I have suffered enough emotional and mental abuse, and that's what you feel like you've dealt with this person. When we're looking again at your triggers, it's like, why are you in separation from this person? Why? It's again because this person is emotionally not available, or they weren't willing to do the work. But the thing is, now that you're in separation, and this is a twin flame journey, it's like they're over there, and that's why they're like, I wish I could fix things, because they thought that they could control love. They thought that they can manipulate you to get you to do what they wanted you to do, which is, again, after a while, you're like, this is emotional abuse because you know what you're doing, but it normally works on other people. So that's why, again, with you, it's not. judged. I felt my thoughts and feelings and emotions were being judged by you, and which is very common when, again, a person is trying to manipulate. It's like, oh, you shouldn't feel this way, to try and downplaying how you should perceive yourself, that you shouldn't need as much, which is because they're emotionally unavailable. They were not willing to do the work, because twin flame journeys are scary. It's like, and they're scary because you feel like this person, especially that's not emotionally available, you don't feel like you have any control. And this person is used to navigating their relationships that way, doing what they want, how they want, when they want, and not really putting in the effort, not really putting in. And so now it's like there's a sense of, I don't really want to have to do that, but it's so they played the games, and now it's like I said, they have mud on their face because it's like now you have feelings. You just screwed yourself. You didn't screw me. Again, trapped. I felt trapped in this connection with no way out. I couldn't take it anymore. And I feel like, again, emotionally trapped. Like we don't realize that when we have a really strong emotional bond with someone, it's like we can't walk away and we can't really be there. So it's, again, there was a sense of you keeping yourself trapped because like you were looking at this person's potential. You were looking at, and what was happening was it was stealing your energy. And that's all that this person wanted. Remember, they wanted to keep you hooked. I want you for me, but I don't really want to give you what you deserve because I'm afraid to be that vulnerable. I'm afraid to have to do the work because it's making me, again, look deep inside myself and do the work. Let's look and see what their inner child wounds are. Because a lot of times their inner child wounds and your child wounds is very similar because it's twin flame. Doesn't mean that they're channeled out the same way, though. They're not, because one person's very analytical and the other person's very intuitive. Remember, twin flame, it's not that you're the other half of that person. It's just where you have gifts, they have wounds. Where you have wounds, they have gifts. And so that's why it seems as if, they're your other half. Is that there's unconditional love and you balance each other when the relationship is of the highest of consciousness. And that can happen when there's unconditional love. But first, it's always there's a runner and a chaser, and the ego has to surrender. And that's what we're seeing here. I also feel like your person felt a little trapped in the beginning, but again, they are wounded. They was too afraid to be vulnerable. Okay, let's just see. Rage. I always associate rage with the root chakra, again, connection to self, and also like what we've inherited. So I feel like you both grew up in environments that were not exactly balanced, where you were seeing love in a way that you identified with all the time. And so, and not allowing to be yourself, not allowing to have your needs met emotionally is just as important as physically. But a lot of times, our younger years, our parents and our caregivers, they did what the best that they could do. But bottom line is, when you're not allowed to be yourself and have your own feelings, and again, remember this, your reading started off with the chameleon card. So, which I feel like your person could be the chameleon because they weren't allowed to be themselves. And so, letting someone get vulnerable and deep is terrifying for this person, especially when they don't have any control. And it would cause a lot of rage because you get triggered. You can't suppress who you are. You can detach and dissociate from who you are, but you're going to project the fuck out of everybody onto everybody. And that's what happened with your person. You got close, they projected. And that created anger in you because you're like, I didn't even do anything. And you're like twisting it. It's you and you blame me. You even admit it here. Truth. It's again the truth of who I am. It's like I have to like pretend that it's okay. Like you treat me this way in order to be in a relationship with you. It's a one-sided relationship. But they believe that you cared and had an emotional connection because they could feel that. You're good with your emotions. Remember, you're the other half of them. So they're like, I feel like you can feel into me. I don't like that. I feel like you can see into me. I don't like that. It's like, though I have this intense connection and there's so much passion, though I'm going to try and get it to be where I'm comfortable, which again, you weren't having it, and it created rage in this person because again, it triggered their ego. And for you, you're like, how dare you? So the truth is that your person doesn't really know and they're trying to figure it out also because, and you're the catalyst. And you're like, I'm not going to be anyone except for myself. I'm not going to be uncomfortable. Again, frustration that love is difficult. That love is difficult. And where love is not really difficult, it's difficult when on two different, you're on two different energies, like you're on higher vibration than this person. So trying to navigate the relationship, you're always going to be triggered. This person's always going to be triggered. So it seems frustrating, but that's why it's a twin flame. Because you'd be like, well, then why the fuck would spirit bring me this person? Because we wouldn't volunteer to do the healing. We wouldn't, but it's considered karmic because it depends on what you do. Because we already see that this person likes to have things their way with big ego. So it doesn't mean that they have to. Remember, unconditional love makes the person change, but this is what the wounds are. So we have to integrate the wounds, and we have to integrate them by saying, well, what energy would we pull into and balance out this energy? Because we can see, you can get it. And I also wanted to look at some soul cards because I like a lot of times when it's a twin flame journey, it's like, well, what's the bigger thing that we're supposed to learn? Because we're not just supposed to be triggered all the freaking time and feel frustrated. It's like if we can actually look at the relationship from the highest perception of why this person's in our life and what we're supposed to learn, we won't take things personally. We'll realize what it is. And also, if we know what our person's triggers are, we're able to like navigate. It's about just coming from a higher awareness. Okay. So first and foremost, I always say, what is the energy that we're supposed to pull into our life to deal with this relationship? Because we know twin flame relationships will eventually, like you said, we could see the dumpster fire, but it's like, I'll take that chance because there's so much passion and there's so much caring. So we have to say, well, what are we supposed to be learning? Creation, I have the power to direct my life with a constructive attitude. Creation. So again, first and foremost, I'm not even going to finish that because it's like, well, what does twin flames usually do? Well, they in order to balance out their energies because they're polar opposites, they have to do something together. They have to birth something. Sometimes they say, oh, it's a baby. Well, it could be a baby, but this is not that. This is like usually do something together because they're learning the higher levels of consciousness. They're learning unconditional love. They're learning compromise. They're learning forgiveness. They're learning compassion, the higher energies. This is what twin flame journey really is. And in doing it, it's like we become better people. It's that, and the unconditional love makes it easier. So this is, I firmly believe I can transform and improve my inner and outer worlds. Again, this is what I'm talking about. By turning every thought into an affirmation or action, I act in the image of God and bring light into my life. And when we're talking about God, we're talking about unconditional love because that's all that God is. It's the energy of the universe. It's the energy that's inside of each and every one of us. It's the energy that when you recognize your soulmate, you say, hey, I know that you feel familiar. That's what this is. It's about, this is why. So it's almost teaching you, because remember, if you have blocks where they have gifts, well, Spirit's saying, well, this is why certain areas of your life aren't working. And you need some of their energy. So it's going to be unfamiliar. It's going to feel uncomfortable. It's going to feel like all these different feelings. Okay, positive action. I focus on the beauty in me. See, again, these relationships could be codependent. So make sure that you, again, create yourself that It's again, focus on the beauty in me, because this person also has the power to bring out the best things in you and also the worst. Um, and I find silence. I live in honor the present by doing what I can do now. So we don't ruminate what happened in the past. We have to be in the moment and understand that's really difficult, especially when you're dealing with a person that triggers you because they hurt you. So there's a sense of you're going to do it again. So I want to remind you, it's the quickest way to ruin intimacy. And when I'm talking about intimacy, I'm not just talking about sex, I'm talking about trust. And so what I cannot change, I let go and I entrust to the highest power, God, right? Or whatever you consider that to be. But just pull and see whether spirit will tell us anything else. Because sometimes we pull what this person's going to do, but we also pull like deep within, like what they're really feeling, what type of relationship this is. Is this a past life relationship? And what again are we supposed to be learning? A lot of times there's a lot. I want to let my guard down with you, but fear makes me lash out in self-defense. So it's again, that's the trigger of what this person would want to tell you. But eventually, time. So patience. You'll have to have patience. You'll have to be compassionate with this person. And we'll ask again, you think I'm not listening to you, but I am. I hear everything you say and even replay our conversations in my head. Remember, this person is not emotionally intelligent. They're afraid to be vulnerable. So if you feel as if you don't have any effect on this person, you do. It's just they are not going to react. They're not going to, again, show any vulnerability. And I'm just going to pull one more. Again, I was seeing like, again, for us to just see what else so that we should look at in this person. So it doesn't mean that they're going to become a better communicator. Remember, that might be an issue for you. Like, I need for you to say it, where spirit's saying, you're not going to get that, because you're a good communicator and they're not. It's like, but they can, maybe fix something or again, have a grounding energy that you don't have because, throat chakra is up there where, usually if you're a good speaker and a good with your mind and psychic and intuitive and spiritual, then those grounding energies is what you're going to get. And that's again, the other half of yourself, which isn't really your other half, is that they're bringing you that medicine to teach you, to make you more like that. Okay, I'm listening to my higher self now, and higher power is guiding me. What did I say? This twin flame journey and what is making them surrender their ego. It's making them tap into their intuition. This person was not tapped into their intuition. They were tapped into their logical, analytical mind, which is the fear based. And this person had a lot of spiritual blocks because of the environment that they grew up in, and obviously all the other relationships that they've had because the foundation of that was weak. For you, I feel like you've had, again, difficult relationships too, but you weren't having this. And because you weren't, it's made this person like change. It's making this person, again, surrender their ego. And that's what unconditional love does. It makes us, surrender that and step into the highest energy. So I'm going to leave that there. If you resonated with this, please give me a like. And also, if you write there was no word because again, I pulled chameleon card. So you got to write the word chameleon. Thank you, Sunflower, for sharing your energy with me and everyone else. If you want to enter into winning a free reading with me, just write the word chameleon in your comment bar. And you'll know if I chose you if I wrote the word winner. Now, until next time, be true to you. Always love yourself. Good night, or good day, or wherever the fuck we are. Excuse my language. I don't know if you get in trouble for that, but I said it, so bye.